and he's going to present topic turning committed members into ministers. So I would seek permission from all the participants to allow me to give a brief introduction of Prabhuji. Uh, Prabhuji was born in Kumilla, Ampi Nagara in East Pakistan, which is Bangladesh now, in the year 1962. In 1971, he went with his father to visit his aunt's family in Jadavpur, Calcutta, where Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture and where he saw for the first time Western devotees in Deshapriya Park. Being just a small boy, he only saw Srila Prabhupada from far and felt a strong desire to become a devotee. In 1978, he went to Vrindavan and lived there for many months with the Babajis in Chakleshwar temple at Govardhan. Later, he met His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj at the end of 1979 in the Krishna Balram temple in Vrindavan. He went back to Calcutta with him, and a year later he took initiation from Bhavananda Maharaj. From 1981 to 86, he was working in Mayapur as a guest house manager. In 1986, during the 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya, the new management allowed him to serve as the first general manager in Mayapur, managing the Gaur Purnima festival. From 1980 to 89, he served as the facilitator of prasadam and accommodations for GBC sannyasis, devotees, and life members. He also served as a life membership director and fundraiser for the Mayapur temple. During monsoon, when Mayapur would become flooded, he would distribute Kichadi Prasadam to all the neighboring villages. For many years, he has been serving the devotees in the Alachur temple every day from 4 a.m. until 9 a.m. He served the devotees 5 days a week in the evening with Krishna Katha in a study group under his present Shiksha Guru, His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj. Almost every day he is counseling devotees to overcome their challenges on the spiritual path. He is always enthusiastic about looking to make new devotees and bringing them to the platform of becoming sincere, serious followers of Srila Prabhupada. Now that both his sons are grown up and can be on their own, both spiritually and materially, he feels he can do more service by dedicating his full time as a sannyasi while encouraging other devotees to cooperate with the GBC in pushing on the Krishna conscious movement and pleasing Srila Prabhupada. From last 30 years serving in Western world in Alachua, preaching to youth in congregation there, involved in Alachua temple management, serving under the guidance of so many Srila Prabhupada disciples, teaching to Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vairava, Bhakti Vedanta students. His sadhana is very exemplary. He chants 64 rounds. He is mentoring many sannyas candidates. From family background, he is a Vaishnava. Recently, he gave seminar on Chaitanya Bhagavata, Jaiva Dharma, Chaitanya Charitamrita. He is very clear. He has very clear understanding of the scriptures. So, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining with us. And now it's over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Prabhu? Clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. I send you the email, so you can check for that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear Sripad Prahladananda Maharaj, my spiritual mentor, Bhakti Prabhav Swami, and other Swamis, I may not see, but Bhakti Dhiradhamadas Maharaj, and all the sannyas candidate Prabhus. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. First of all, today's topic is about turning mature member to core. So it's something that mentality also, that we express our gratitude. It's so important as a core member. Gratitude can be both. It is best when manifested as both, like a state and trait. We feel when something good happened to us in spiritually, that's a state, and we sin when we can consistently seek the good and appreciate verbally. So gratitude can be both. I'm eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada to create a revolutionary movement where fallen soul like me, rascal, can be also trained to assist in the movement, assist Srila Prabhupada under his sincere followers, and that will be my ultimate goal. I'm also very grateful to the Sannyasa ministry under Sripad Prahaladana Maharaj. Despite my so many challenges, they keep me inspiring and encouraging to serve. And I'm also very grateful to all of sacrificing this life to assist Srila Prabhupada in his mission, and then our life will be successful, and you all made that decision. It's very wonderful to be in that group. Last several days, we went through many beautiful illumination in our heart. First day, Maharaj, Sripad Prahaladana Maharaj spoke about introduction and overview, then defining your purposes and communicating your purposes by Bhakti Prabhav Swami, organizing around your purposes and applying purposes by Srivas Prabhu, defining strategy for a target audience, Sabbasachi Prabhu, another Sabbasachi Prabhu, and Govinda Nanda Prabhu. Challenges of Sannyasa Ashram, attracting and bringing in the crowd by Valmiki Prabhu, Aduksaja Prabhu, Vishwavasu Prabhu. And then we also learned turning attendees into congregational member by Kamalochan Prabhu, Radhesham Prabhu, Trilakanath Prabhu. And then Sripad Prahaladana Maharaj gave the summary of the first presentation. And then Mahendra Prabhu yesterday expressed very wonderful presentation about developing mature member. And today I'm seeking blessing from all the senior devotees, all of you, sannyas candidate. Please pray for me so that I can say something what I learned from the ministry and Sripad Prahaladana Maharaj and others about turning committed member into ministers called core. So I will show a PPT that I prepared. Maybe someone can tell me if you see what. Is that visible?
Yes, so it is visible.
Okay. This PPT is made by many great devotees, from many great devotees, presentation like Sripad Prahaladana Maharaj, Sripad Bhakti Prabhupada Maharaj, and many other presenters. It's wonderful. So this is a purpose-driven Jatra began. Certain things very intriguing attracted me, that it rings in my ear almost sometime every day. Some quotes, so I put that one here. The purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement to bring people from ignorance to bliss. And then Srila Prabhupada writes, at least 10% of the population become Krishna consciousness. There's a guarantee peace in the world. Because Ekas Chandra, we do not require many moons in the sky, only one moon is sufficient to drive away the darkness. Chanakya Pandit says it's better to have a qualified sun than to have hundreds of fools. Beautiful presentation, Srila Prabhupada, right? So my question is, maybe you all embracing this principle. I have to confess that in the beginning, I never told Sripad Prahaladana Maharaj. I was not feeling comfortable whether this is actually what I think sannyas should be, sannyas candidate should be, or sannyas training should be. But after spending for some time, few years, I asked myself, how could I live a life, dedicated life without this purpose? This purpose-driven jatra is so attractive. I feel like every ISKCON devotee should have this. So I am eternally grateful to Sripad Prahladananda Maharaj to come up with this. And some of you, in case if you have some hesitation, I'm not saying you do, I hope not. Try to dive in. You will see life 100 times more valuable of your dedication, your commitment, your love for Srila Prabhupada and to Panchatattva and Radha Krishna. Of course, we all heard this many times, but I would like to hear this millions of times more. Every day I want to hear it. What is the purpose? So it's beautifully put it on 18.65 to 69. It's one of the verse that gives the result that 1868, Jaidam paramam guhyam mad bhaktisya vidashyati bhaktim mai param kritta mame vashyasi asamsaya. If we do these 5 purposes, we'll get 2 results. One is love for Krishna. Krishna himself guarantees this. Jaidam paramam guhyam mad bhaktisya vidashyati. If we can let others see that we are example, practically I'm practicing these 5 purpose. And I'm also trying to share and bring them, uplift their consciousness and make them more committed. Then Krishna says, Bhakti Mayi Param Kritta, you will get Prem Bhakti for me. Mam Aveshyasi Asamsaya, without doubt, Asamsaya, you will come back to me. So this is very attractive. Be aware of Krishna, become his devotee, serve him, surrender to him, and share. Same thing I find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. He says, Nachaga bhakta sange kara sankirtan, Krishna nama upadeshi tara sarvajan. Same 5 principles in a different way, more to our practical level, that we should associate with the devotees and we should create a facility where we can practice myself and allow others to practice. And what is that practice? The association of devotee. And glorify Krishna, think of Krishna, serve him, surrender to him. And then also create a inspirational, encouraging atmosphere, then they will be also attracted and delivered. Same thing with the Rupa Goswami also talks about the engaging the audience before showing yourself will not work. We have to practice. I have to practice all these 5 purposes and then tell them. Then definitely they will take it. Otherwise, without planning, no determination, not able to measure the success for me or for others. So we have to plan. We have to make ourselves committed to this. How can we measure our growth? We all discussed that. That you can see by the result. Without planning, spiritual growth is very little. It is not bad and may take few more life. If we don't plan now, if we don't focus on this purpose-driven life, then it may take few life. I mean, I'm talking about for me. I'm not talking about you, so don't take it personally, please. But seeing Nectar of Devotion chart on our growth is definitely push us quickly finish spiritual journey. I should be serious more and more and push the movement while I'm practicing also. It will be great, will be when we actually plan and execute according to our plan with determination. That is called strategic planning. Where am I? What is the ultimate purpose driven that Sannyas ministry is giving, and how to execute, how to reach that goal. These three, what total together we call strategic planning. So strategic planning is for the future, for present and future. And if we don't, then we'll just stay same 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, till my last breath, I will stay the same or go down. This is a quote by Srila Prabhupada. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered that Prithivite, all over the world, as many towns and villages are there, my name will be established there. So we are trying to do that. So his name should be established. Does not mean that they should remain as javanas or mlechas. And simply they should know Lord Chaitanya. No, actually the fact is that everyone should be elevated to the position of Vaishnava, purified Vaishnava. In Chaitanya Charitamrita 7.99, Kathakkan Rahi Prabhu Tarya Lingya Vidai Karila Tare Shakti Sancharila. I remember I was reading a very interesting logic in the purport Prabhupada put, the way I see it, also in Madhulila 6.160. Prabhupada said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivering a lot of people, pure devotee delivering people. What does that mean? And then he answers that the contact should create an atmosphere where the audience are following the leader and or guru, and from guru's heart, three potency, two potency Prabhupada mentioned there and one potency before he mentioned, that transferred from Krishna's heart, Sambit potency, cognizant, our relationship, our feeling. From Radharani's heart, Ladini potency, nourishment, to become a happy servant. They transmit from Radha Krishna's heart through Nitya Siddha's heart to the conditioned soul's heart. So pleasing Prabhupada is number one priority, is pleasing Krishna automatically, because then those potency will transmit. Also another sloka, Chaitanya Chaitamrita Adilila 9.42, I was thinking, Atavad Janma Safillam Dehinam Ihatiheshu, Prane Artha Diya Vacha Sreyacharanam Sada. Okay, we want to please Prabhupada. How do we please? Well, what do I have? I have my body, I have my mind, I have my words, and whatever material wealth. If we can serve completely with all these four, then life is completely successful. And that satisfaction, that dedication, proportion to our dedication to this movement, to this purpose-driven Jatra, will give us also satisfaction. Well, before satisfaction, transformation will come. Before transformation, purification will come. Purification means it's going towards Guru and Sadhu. Of course, Sripad Prahladananda Maharaj emphasized that Madhyamadhikari platform, minimum safe stage platform we can begin, because the discriminating power, worship the Lord as the highest object of love, make friends with the Lord's devotees, with all ISKCON devotees. And naturally, when bhakti enters the heart, we have a tenderness towards the other living being, or merciful to the ignorant, we can say, Balisha. And then avoids those who are not agreeing with this or envious to our Krishna consciousness movement. We just stay away from them. Going backward, sorry. So this is where boils down to how we proceed on, how to practice devotional service, inspiring them to join using their energy and abilities. Well, the goal is to bring people to Krishna and then reveal them Lord Krishna's purpose, and from the outside to the core. Sripad Bhakti Prabhav Swami explained this very nicely. I'm not repeating all this, but certain things that I will not forget, I don't want to forget. For an example, he says, if you define your purposes, we can repeat this every day. It will be good for us, I feel. Then it will prevent schism, it will promote unity, it will prevent conflicts, it will make decision maker easier, and it will allow concentration, and it will assist evaluation. Also, Maharaj says about how do you define your purposes. He says, define your goal before you set your roles. Do not labor for no purpose. The more your purpose are clear, the more effective you will be. It was very attractive presentation. And then, of course, he talks about how to define your purposes essentially. He said worship, celebrating God's presence, preaching, communicate, fellowship, incorporate, means we are belonging, and then discipleship, bringing to maturity, and missionary work, send them out. Maharaj also mentioned that to define your purpose, write a purpose statement, like scriptural, specific, memorable, transferable, measurable. These are very addictive words. If we contemplate every day, we will be more clear cut in our journey. And then Maharaj also said, the more specific, the more powerful. The shorter your statement, the better. People remember, we do remember slogan, BBT logos. Slogan you cannot measure, therefore in addition of a slogan, you need a purpose. That was very nicely put it. All elements of your purpose must be included in your purpose statement. And then he also said members in spiritual maturity are measurable. What's interesting that Maharaj also talks about communicating your purpose. That number one factor is to continually communicate the purpose. The duty of a leader is to continually communicate and clarify the purpose of your project. The most important class is membership class, and we need to communicate our purpose in the membership class. Never let one become a member without understanding purposes. That was very attractive. It's still ringing in my ear, I would say. Oh, it's there. And other day, Srivas Prabhu very nicely spoke about his purpose-driven jata, organizing around the purpose. It was very attractive. I remember Prahladananda Maharaj, when he came, he appreciated that. I mean, we all appreciate it, I'm sure. We do. I do. The most influential preachers of the 18th century, he talks. The two most influential preacher that, what's his name? George Whitefield and John Wesley. And he explained their effectiveness in preaching and their organization, how they did. I never heard details like that. That was very attractive. So we see Srila Prabhupada on organization, and you all know that story of Giriraj Maharaj. And also Srila Prabhupada, Giriraj Maharaj's point was so wonderful. It's like almost Sanskrit sloka. Do you think this movement can go on without me? It's like almost you can hear somebody is talking to your ear. Prabhupada asked, and Giriraj Maharaj was astounded that Prabhupada had called him in the middle of the night to ask him this. Then he said, I think, said Giriraj Maharaj, that is, as long we are sincere and go on chanting Hare Krishna and follow the principles, the movement will be successful. But it's interesting, Srila Prabhupada was silent when he spoke, and each word seemed to come with great effort. He uttered the word organization. Then he said organization and intelligence. So that was very powerful. And at the end of his presentation, that I remember, he says 10 ways to be purpose driven. One was assimilate new members on purpose. Two was we can make all the programs, everything around purpose, and educate people on purpose. And then he also says start small groups on purpose. And last few days we are focusing on that, on small groups. Then he said add or train staff on purpose and create structure on purpose. These are so wonderful. We should memorize this at the forefront of our life. And then number 7 was preach on purpose, budget on purpose, create calendars on purpose, and evaluate should be done on purpose. That was very attractive to me. And next day, defining strategy for a target audience. To Sabyasachi Prabhu and Govindananda Prabhu talked many things. Community, who are they, no prior contact, uneducated in the principle of bhakti, nor weak faith in spiritual practice. And they also did talk about identify people in transition, student, people under tension, distress, people who are curious, inquisitive, like that. Then it was nice one day, Sripad Jodanandan Maharaj came and gave us a guideline how to face the challenges. And then on the sixth session was attracting and bringing in the crowd. Valmiki Prabhu and Adukshaja Prabhu, Vishwashu Prabhu, they did a very wonderful job. And they mentioned many things. What I remember, I'm just going to say, they said that what is crowd means. They means they attend ISKCON programs and events. They have interest. They may have a weak or no faith, little or no practice, but they remain guests without sense of belonging. So that's the key point, that they need to be pushed or lift up. And they also gave the congregation definition, how to personally invite people to program. I remember they discussed that. And how to preaching designed to facilitate loving exchanges. And they talked about these 6 exchanges: dadati, pratiginnati, guyyamakkati, prichati, bhunte, bhujayate, chaiva, saravit, priti, lakshanam. That how we can practically apply these, offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing confidential mind to person you trust, inquiring confidentially, and of course prasadam exchange, feed and serve, and also you accept or receive. Because Krishna Consciousness Movement ISKCON actually growing based on these 6 loving exchange. And they also talked about through collaborating activities. So that was very nice. They also talked about education, creating opportunity to study Srila Prabhupada's books, monitoring, caring for the devotees. Those are very attractive. And they actually, I like also, they appreciated Sannyas ministry. That was very nice. Sannyas ministry is like a lenses. This is how I see that. They want us to see where I am heading, what is purpose of life, and how I can help others. At least the main focus is assisting the mission of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. That will be my way of taking. Then also we had a turning attendees into congregation membership. Kamal Lochan Prabhu very nicely explained. I think Radhesh Shyama Sundar Prabhu was there, and Trilokanath Prabhu and Govinda Prabhu. That's right here. And they talked about what purpose-driven Jatra is not. That was very interesting. They just went in a negative first. And then they talked about is not driven by personality or finances, programs, building and projects, events, populist ideas. And then they talked about the positive. So that was good. It is Jatra driven to fulfill Krishna's purpose, Mahaprabhu's purpose, Prabhupada's purpose. The end in mind is to cultivate mature Krishna conscious devotees, some of whom will dedicate their life to serve ISKCON society. Mature devotees will concentrate to fulfill the purpose of ISKCON. And then they also talked about the community crowd congregation committed for, like a little brief description they gave. I remember that. And then they also gave a details on objective of this session. The regular attendance of ISKCON temple programs, Bhakti Briksha, Namhatta, whatever, each country probably has a difference. Like in America, we don't really have so many Namhatta and Bhakti Briksha. We have like a small groups, we say. A lot of Indians groups in difference. Except few temples like Alachua, we have actually vibrant. Even in Mangalarti, we have 40, 50 devotees most of the time. And New York temple, Vaisheshik Prabhu's temple, many temple, but not all. Prahladananda Maharaj's expression sometimes is hilarious. It's so true that some temple you go hardly, you confess if you cannot come to morning sadhana, and then who is the listener? It's only the deities sometimes. It was like, I could relate that. He knows very well. So, and then they also talked about, no, I was mentioning that on that, a few questions from the audience, what they asked, do I fit here? The acceptance, established group with similar interest and background. The audience, I see in Alacha, the audience asks, do ISKCON or the temple devotee want to know me? Means they want to become friendship, give individual attention, establish some friendship, reciprocation, where they find some belonging, they want to be part of this. They also think like, how can I contribute here? Am I needed? The value. So that's our duty to make them feel their contribution matters. What is the advantage of joining? So you explain them about the benefits, the scriptural, practical, and personal reasons. And also what is required to become a member of ISKCON. And Maharaj explained this many nice way. In other words, expectation. So we need to explain members the responsibility and commitment. So this is very important. And yesterday Mahendra Prabhu, oh my God, my time is ticking. Okay. Mahendra Prabhu also spoke very nicely how to bring the members to committed. So I'm going to just jump on a purpose-driven higher stage. Some other Krishna reminding me something that Prahladananda Maharaj asked a question. It's still like focus. I almost like spoke to few devotees about it, how Maharaj asked that question, if you remember, in summarizing the previous sessions. He asked that our society does not exactly work in that purpose-driven yet, but then purpose of the Hare Krishna movement is to extend the Hare Krishna movement. Maharaj mentioned, I remember. And then how to expand Krishna consciousness through those who are participating and introduce Krishna consciousness and expand the consciousness of those who are not participating so far. It was very nice, well spoken. I mean, to me, I was very attracted. I still remember that. So then Maharaj asked a question. What actually, it was a controversial for many years, but it made it very clear. So thank you, Maharaj. I hope you listened that. I cannot see who is here because I have the screen in the question was, how do we measure success, and what is Krishna's purposes on jivas or souls suffering, why they suffer. And the way he said, I'm going to paraphrase what I understand, was very nice. Of course, many devotees gave their contribution. I think Rishi Kumar Prabhu quoted Krishna Bulia Seji and other devotees also. But Maharaj said something very interesting. It's a simple sentence, but it struck to me. He said, we do things because we think we are going to enjoy separately from Krishna. But instead of enjoying, we wind up suffering, either immediately or next life or future. And so it's very interesting. So then Maharaj gave the answer that basically speaking, Krishna wants to discourage us from doing the wrong things. Why? Because it gives us suffering. He wants us to encourage us to do the right things by giving happiness. And this is Krishna's plan. And so purpose-driven jatra means I must follow and I should literally see how I can make a platform where as many devotees can be inspired and encouraged to also follow this purpose-driven life. Then we will be happy forever with Krishna. Otherwise, there is no way somebody will solve their problem. So that was very wonderful. Now, we use this word committed. More we are educated, more we become committed. So some devotee also mentioned, is this, Rick Warren is like a Western Christian concept, this 5 purpose driven. But no, it is actually in our scriptures. Maybe we don't talk that way, use the Sanskrit language, because surrender, to me, surrender is compulsory. Surrender may not be pure bhakti definition, but without surrender, bhakti is like a beautiful palace where Krishna and Radharani and eternal associate they're enjoying. But to enter that house, that palace, we need access at the door. And the door, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, to enter into pure bhakti is Sharanagati. And Sharanagati has 6 limbs, you all know. And 6 limbs means Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjanam. These are more functional. That's how I see it. And the other 4, Rakshati Iti Vishwasa Goptirte Varanam Tata, those are like internal, inner connection. Through absorption, we get conviction and then determination. So those are inner, but the external, Anukulisha Sankalpa. Sankalpa means taking vow till the end of last breath or till the end of Jagga, whatever. It's a common thing. Every scripture says Sankalpa. You have to take Sankalpa before you do anything, even initiation ceremony or anything. That is what translates as a committed. Two objectives of a purpose driven: give devotee the vision of what Krishna's purpose, sequentially raise the level of consciousness of devotee towards Krishna's purpose. 5 levels of commitment: the community, the crowd, congregation, committed, and core. Just to refresh. So, once someone is initiated, and Maharaj mentioned this many times, literally I see in America also, many devotees, not many devotees, majority I would say. I hope I'm not committing any offense, but that's my perception I'm saying. Maybe they are not. They think that they join, they want to be connected with ISKCON, but then once they are initiated, that's it. They are on their own. That concept is there. And I actually interviewed many devotees, and that's how they feel. That once you are connected, you are done almost. I mean, through initiation. Of course, here we see that Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami took direct lessons from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and went to Vrindavan and dedicate their life for Lord's mission. Srila Prabhupada did the same thing. And Srila Prabhupada also said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has a vision, Prithivite Ache Jata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachar Hoive Morna, that he wants to see every town and village glorifying his name, his form, quality, means Krishna consciousness is spreading. But Mahaprabhu also had a mission on his vision, Jare Dekho Tare Kaho Krishna Upadesh. And Prabhupada says in one lecture in the beginning in New York, he says, I have, my Guru Maharaj has a mission on that Mahaprabhu's vision, and I have the same mission. And if you all can adapt and join that, then we all will be happy. So this is very satisfactory concept. Now on Rick Warren's book, these all have some similarity with Vedic scripture. Maybe not the word here we wrote, but I was going through this. There are 4 barriers to spiritual growth. 1, they don't, developing committed devotees, they don't examine the direction of their lives on a regular basis. Ask yourself, how am I faring? Examine yourself. Developing committed devotee, now imagine Prabhu's, I cannot ask Maharajas to imagine because they are already acting on it. Well, most of you Prabhu's probably also acting on it, but I'm just asking myself, fasting the entire week and only eating a feast every Sunday, that will keep under nourishment. So when it will keep myself undernourished, then certainly will not do. Just like every day we nourish our body, not only eating on Sunday. Similarly, to grow spiritually, one has to nourish the soul. How do you nourish the soul? Through these 5 purposes. Harikatha every day, associating with the devotees, worshipping the deities. These are very chanting Harinam, minimum rounds, of course, what level you are. So these are very important. Is that visible? I guess so. The pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees are recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam. This Prabhupada spoke. So that those who recite these pastimes and listen to them will become purified. Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya. As a matter of principle, devotees should read, speak, and hear Srimad Bhagavatam persistently. 24 hours daily if possible. That is the recommendation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Yesterday Maharaj said something, few times I heard also, maybe before. He said, not only we should glorify Krishna and chant, we also have to create an atmosphere, a facility where other can also hear and chant and practice those. Now this, of course, you all can relate. Whatever one learns, one must apply in our life. Maharaj talked about it too. Or, Prabhu's, it will be of waste. So we need to turn our understanding, knowledge into action, applying. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastha Vijitendriya 6.8, Krishna talks a very scientific way that what we learn, if we do not apply, of course to apply we have to contemplate and reflect, and then we can assimilate. So when we contemplate, then it will reflect. Srinata Shraddhaya Nittam Grinantasya Sachestitam Kalena Navati Dirgana Bhagwan Vishatiridi. In that verse also Prabhupada in the purport he put that. One has to contemplate, that will reflect, and then assimilation will come. Now, there's a scary thing also, I thought, that when we don't contemplate, but we just holding some knowledge, okay, I memorize some sloka, then the false pride comes. I know I'm a good singer, why they don't ask me to sing or something. But if we apply this knowledge through this process, then three things will take place. It will literally transform our thinking, the way we think. Because it's connected with Krishna and Vaishnavas, devotees, it will purify. So purification will take place, transformation will take place in the heart. And then satisfaction will come. I believe in 3rd chapter, Bhagavad Gita, in one part, Prabhupada writes also that the material knowledge is, what did he say, is useless. I was thinking, like, if I tell this to a PhD, FRCS or someone, will they agree? No, of course not. But what Prabhupada meant, what I understand, is so fascinating, because I may have a PhD or FRCS. I'm not against that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if it is not applied for Krishna consciousness, what happened? These three things does not take place. It will never purify, because it will not bring material education. If it is not applied towards Krishna consciousness, it will never bring to Krishna consciousness automatically. We have to cultivate, we have to connect them to bring it. So if it does not purify, it will never transform and it will never satisfy. That's why Prabhupada said it is useless. Everything Prabhupada said has a very deep meaning. Here, of course, you all can read. This is a beautiful quote of Bhagavatam. The pastime of the Supreme Lord, his devotees are recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, I'm going in a backward, sorry. Okay. That's right. A candidate for spiritual advancement must be non-violent, Prabhupada writes, must follow in the footsteps of great Acharya, must always remember the nectar of the pastime of Supreme Personality of Godhead, must follow the regulative principle without material desire. While following the regulative principle, should not blaspheme others. A devotee should lead a very simple life, not be disturbed by the duality of opposing element. He should learn to tolerate them. Further, that Jared Dekho Tareko Krishna Upadesh, this principle is applied. And if we do, then two result 1868 will produce. Now this is I got from that book, it's beautiful, in a short because of the time. Developing committed devotee. Here you see in the picture, the ocean retreats for some time, then floods the shore again. In the same way was as an ocean, we run some program, campaign, retreat, like Jopo seminar or book marathon during Christmas. It can be every month. We do this in Alachua. We have a marathon period. Study group will study this book of Prabhupada, Nectar of Instruction, then create a group. Why? Because that will allow devotees to replenish their energies. Doing everyday same thing need little, not a break, but need little boost. We can also have a retreat for leaders, like we have Sadhu Sangha is coming, Sadhu Sangha next month in America, in Texas this year, every year. So there is always 24-hour kirtan, this, that devotee goes. Those are very good. And then we come back from the seminar and we go back and we do what we learned. We apply these and we get rejuvenates more progressing. So it's very exciting. Developing committed devotee. According to that book, it takes 6 weeks to develop a habit. That's a good lesson. I tried because I have also a lot of challenges in life, but by the mercy of Prahladananda Maharaj and other devotees, Bhakti Prabhupada Maharaj, all of you, and of course, a lot of senior devotees in Alachua, I see the purification takes place very nicely. It's very satisfying. So we adopt a new habit and we focus on it and we go on. Transformational components. Before starting a campaign, these components are very essential to focus on. Whatever you want to do, like study a group or 40 days Harinam, do not be distracted and keep focus on the topics. Have many devotees to take lead roles. Leader, sannyas candidate, leader means creating a new leader. One is not overburdened this way, and eventually, if we don't, we'll get burned out. So we have to act on what is learned. Depending on Krishna for result, if we wish for 10 devotees to join the temple, why not we wish 100, add a 0 or 50 at least. If we want 10, we should shoot for 50, then at least we'll get 10 or 100. If we want 100, then shoot for 1,000. 100 is exponential thinking. Krishna is most powerful. We should never underestimate Krishna's power. Never. This is my own learning that according to our own progress, devotees cannot but see something are to be kept back and others to be invited to the forefront. This is what it means to go nearer, to make progress. We should have some sort of approximate knowledge, what is good, what is bad, who is Krishna, what is non-Krishna conscious, and that will be realized more and more as we are involved and executing. Otherwise, I'll say, oh, I could not detect this, but now I feel this is also valuable point in the light of Krishna conception. So to take sannyas means we are diving into taking risk. And if we say, well, I don't want to take risk, then there is no progress in spiritual path. We must take risk. During Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur time, this is one lecture of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur where I got this idea to make this. That we have to take risk in order to progress. And progress means two things: new selection, new elimination. We adapt and we implement what we learned. Not that this principle will everywhere act the same way. Like for an example, we do Ratha Jatra in Florida, almost every city we do. Bhadra Prabhu, Dharmaraj Prabhu, they organize. I inspire them also, try to be there with them. and they inspire many other devotees. And we have a very successful for a few years. During the COVID, we didn't have for a few years. Now it started again, Rath Yatra time. And we take a lot of risk, and we see now the mayor of St. Augustine gave a beautiful speech. He appreciated Hare Krishnas. He even mentioned Prabhupada's name, and he studied about Prabhupada. Otherwise, he could not have said so many things about Prabhupada. I was like very happy to see that. Because when mayor is like a big guy in the city, St. Augustine is a beach town, 2 hours from here. But it's a beautiful way. Then we had a huge crowd. It was very nice. We should not remain in the same position we held in the beginning. We should continue, have a new selection and elimination. Prabhu's, without selection and elimination, there is no progression. At least that's what I understand from his lecture, from his Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's talk. What factors is an impetus for committed? This is a beautiful Prabhupada's quote. Simply we have to desire to please him and not desire anything for ourselves. Then we become simply instruments for his will. This is important essence of Krishna consciousness. Letter to Atreya Rishi Prabhu. And this is also beautiful. We are taking the risk. Krishna always protect. How he protects, of course, that's a big discussion. Every soul are protected by the Lord when ultimately he takes the soul out of this world, takes us back to him for our eternal life of love with him. That is our ultimate protection. Even in Saranagati, we talked about Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjanam. And we see when Draupadi, all this process did not work, she completely made it surrender. And Krishna will make each of us, I mean, maybe you all are surrendered already, but I'm talking for myself and others who are not yet made. And Krishna will make us surrender, provided we go on. It's interesting that turning committed member into minister, where we have to have a full conviction to actually dedicate ourselves in this mission. In Bhagavad Gita 11:33, I learned something very interesting, that result of the battlefield was in the hand of Krishna. It is not after the activity. After killing each other, the result will be maybe visible, but the result was already in Krishna's hand. Tasmat tam uttishtata jasho lavishya. Jitta satrun bhungshe rajyam samriddhim. But there is a activity left. And that is what sannyas candidate, what Arjuna need to do, we also have to do our duty. Maeva nihita purvameva, that they are already put to death, but that's not. Then what is the need of Krishna? Then Krishna says, Nimitta matra bhava sabbhasachi. You become aligned. So align with Krishna's principle, Krishna's purpose. So what will be our ultimate destiny and purpose? It's already done. Krishna already did it. What Krishna wants us to actually execute this fight purpose and surrender, dedicate. So this is just for refreshing, as you all know. Who is core member? I remember Sripad Prahladananda Maharaj also talks about all these myths, and I hope we can remember those whole life. The myths about developing devotee community, and he gave a very nice details. It was very nice. A pilot program, I would say, for each of us to create and help a small group and raise them up, train them, elevate their consciousness. Then again, Maharaj says, duplicate that and continue. This is what core member. Those who are doing are the core member. So here is who is a core member, difference between core and committed, categories of core member, an example from ISKCON Center, framework for developing core member and its successful implementation, things to watch out for, and then conclusion. Why did I? Oh, who is a core member? Core member is one who has surpassed the stages of congregation and committed and is ready to take up ownership, serve our society as servant leader. They are often managers who deal with the resources, but they may also very senior preacher, like you all are, who develop congregations. Core member display a deep sense of purpose and contribution and loyalty. Of course, they will not say, I'm a core member of ISKCON. And it was very interesting how the ownership changes when one becomes core member. What is this temple? Someone will say, those who are outside will say this is Hare Krishna temple. And those who are member initiated, they will say this is our temple. And core member will say, this is I am the temple, or this. That's how they identify, I am ISKCON. They are proactive by nature and exemplary in their sadhana, in their daily practice. They are studying the scripture, explaining the scriptures, their understanding, their behavior. Something I did even 12 years, 13 years back, it flashed back now. And, it's like a humiliation to me. And but because I have a very wonderful mentor like Prahladananda Maharaj and others, they comfort. They say, no, they encourage, keep on going and growing, not just going. So the core member are proactive. You don't have to tell them to take action. They actually act. They see something is needed, they will go forward and do it. They are not products of their own. They have a feeling that this is I am ISKCON in a sense, not in a pride. That anything goes wrong, I have to be responsible. Something is wrong with me then if I'm not, acting before it goes wrong. So they involve, they are product of their values. They don't get perturbed by situation. They use their decision making. So they are very exemplary in their sadhana, in their behavior. And they have to be absolutely deeply committed, loyal, their sadhana, their behavior. Jajjad acharati shrestha tat tat evetaro jana. First of all, they are willing to extend themselves. We see this many in our movement, and we want to create more. Of course, I have to act also on that level always. They have a very heightened sense of purpose to elevate and elevate the consciousness of others. Core devotee, they see the spiritual benefit they get. They want to pass it on to other people. And I believe they are also good communicator. They may be introvert sometime, but they interface with the congregation. They serve positions of leadership. Oh, there are a few things, as you can see. They are also meditating, Praner Artha Diya Vacha. They are always thinking of dedicating, because they feel I'm representing Srila Prabhupada, this beautiful Krishna's society. I like that Praladanda Maharaj mentioned at least a couple of times in the last few days that how Krishna, it's from a Bhagavatam he gave a reference, how Krishna is taking, Krishna is manifesting himself or distributing himself to ISKCON, which is under internal potency. Very nice. The turning point, I would say, the turning point. Because in Bhagavad Gita 7:19, Krishna says, Bhonam janmanam ante gyanavan mam prapaddati vasudeva sarvam samahatma sudurlava. Many births and deaths. Who understand these five principles surrenders unto me. I'm adding to that translation. Knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. And such great soul are rare. And they are right here, the ISKCON Sannyasa ministry trying to produce or helping to produce. Krishna declared that surrender of mind, body, word to God is the perfection of spirituality. When he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he demonstrates himself how that surrender is possible. Chanting Krishna's name, this same five principle. Mahaprabhu's time, he was Nimai Pandit as a greatest scholar. But then very soon, when he went to Gaya and came back, he was demonstrating the importance of distributing Krishna consciousness. And of course, there are many examples are given there. But of course, there is a little art also in this we have to learn. They are good communicators. Of course, their heart bleeds for ISKCON society, but they are also good communicator in a sense. They know the, what do you call, psychophysical nature. Prabhupada used that word 3.35. Psychophysical nature. Svabhava jena kunte nivruddha sena karmana. Kartum netchasi janmohat karishasi avashopi. Thought that everybody is born with a particular psychophysical nature that he or she will be or bound to act on that. So core member means they see that their psychophysical nature, and according to their propensity, they are going to engage them and help them encourage them, inspire them. How are the core devotee different from the committed? Sense of ownership, level of commitment. Sense of ownership, like paradigm of we. They don't wait to behold. They have an affinity to extend themselves. Level of commitment. While committed members are also responsible, their focus is more towards self-development. And the third one is investing time. Nobody has time for service. We are all so engrossed in our own world. But core members make time for service. They encourage others to take responsibility also. That's why I quoted that verse. Krishna declared surrender of mind and body. Word to God, God is the perfection of spirituality. Srila Prabhupada says here, beautiful letter to Abhiram Prabhu. Because you have given your life to Krishna, you are already perfect. But it is just like the ocean, if you are swimming in it, you may swim forever, not reach the shore. Similarly, there is no limit to the perfection of Krishna consciousness. I like that because there is no end. Okay, I got love of God within my capacity. No, there is no such thing. It's a dynamic. We're not stagnant. It will go on forever. So who are the core member? In ISKCON, you can see those names. These are some of the, from different speakers, Praladanda Maharaj's, Raghunath Prabhu's, Mahendra Prabhu's, different devotees' speech. I took that and put in. But you can add more according to time, place, maybe little difference, could be difference. Oh, Krishna, the time. Things to remember. Every committed member is a potential core member. Serving ISKCON should not be an option. It is our duty to spread this consciousness. Every department is important. Please do not make distinction. People taking responsibility must be acknowledged and appreciated. However small that service may be. It's very funny, in Alachua, one day one devotee didn't come, he makes Charnamrita. And then I was there, and then devotee says, I was just purposely just waiting to see. He says, where is Charnamrita? I said, well, you think Charnamrita comes from the sky or from the altar automatically? Oh, who makes that? I said, we never valued that devotee. Just for that. Just few devotees, senior devotees, and then they all thought about that devotee. So every devotee should be appreciated. Of course, we brought the Charnamrita later and served. But point is, the little service, we depend on so much, but we hardly ever appreciate. We should do it. Cultivate and activate, preach interdependence. We must learn to work together. Sometimes it is better to cooperate than to be right. Uniqueness and diversity of member is our strength, not weakness. People gravitate, it's a fact, towards what they love doing. When you are hungry, they say, hey, there's a prasadam. You immediately recognize. I mean, I'm not talking to you all. Maybe you all are already above that. But I am. When I'm hungry and there is a prasadam, I pay attention immediately. The term core is a relative term depending on country, geographical zone, and type of ISKCON center. So don't take it just personally. I don't know what is core. It could be different in your area. Sorry. Do not involve expressive, dynamic devotees in maintenance work or administrative work. They will get bored. We should try giving them service of book distribution, preaching, deity worship, making new devotees, training, etc. According to their propensity, engage them. The book distributor is important, so as the book publisher, so as the book editor. Drastically reduce the number of meeting and allow on the job training and have a regular one-on-one conversation. Now, if some situation demands, one day Raghunath Prabhu spoke about it very nicely, because it happens here that we are preparing Janmashtami. It's a big in Alachua, and it was very challenging because the main person fell in sick. So we were like immediately created a new committee, and it came out okay, good, actually better than what we thought. And the point is that after it was over, it was successful. Then we dissolve it. Don't hold on to it. Let everyone know that Krishna consciousness is a privilege, service, not benefit. Courage and consideration. The courage to let them know what is expected. And consideration, the willingness and ability to listen to their thoughts and feeling without alienating them. That is what we expect to be done. This is a core member's job. And how do we have a successful implementation? Do not allow individual fundraising for departments. Take commitment from members and hold accountability sessions. Allow to quit or change their service gracefully. Relentlessly train core member service in important service. Process for successful implementation. These are the 5 categories I found from that book. It's very nice, attractive. Make a list available devotees who are committed. Make a list critical service where there is a shortage of volunteers. Think about the skill and the qualities of the available talent pool, and we see what would be good fit for those candidates. Discuss with the temple authorities and ask for suggestion. Hold a session with a potential candidate for core services based on their competence. Raising the level of commitment. Let committed member know how much you value their engagement and involvement. Let them know there is a need to widen their responsibility and commitment. Please discuss the why behind the what. Show how they will be benefiting spiritually by extending themselves. Discuss with them areas where their contribution will be appreciated and let them choose. Train them in a specific service once you know their inclination to interest. Focus on training the core members. On the job training is usually quite effective. Enthusiast people because they are involved in actual service. Members get to learn what's important and what is not important, and teach them effective communication, handling conflict, quality, conversation and answer queries. How to conduct successful accountability session? Well, meet a predetermined day and time of the week for 15 to 20 minutes. I do this almost every day. Ask 3 questions from each member. What was your last week commitment? What do you commit to do next week? Do you need any clear the path? Then celebrate. Have a public event to award member for different level. In New Orleans temple, we do this banquet. Not for the devotees, also the advisory board member who is outsider. They may not necessarily chant, but we are encouraging them to chant few rounds, and they do now. And they attend once a week classes. Celebrate success. Celebrate success. Hold a special class and a beautiful feast, nice prasadam for devotees who extend themselves and take responsibility. We must acknowledge and appreciate their contribution. Four pillar to a strong core. It's beautiful, attractive. Every member is a devotee. Every department service is important. Every member is important. Each piece is a jigsaw puzzle matters. Expression of my shape. I'm rushing this because I want to show you a small video. Shashik Prabhu, I visited him yesterday. Okay, I'm done almost here. This S stands for we all have a natural talent which we can use in our service to Sri Krishna, Kirtan, garland, admin, etc. I think some sound coming from Bhakti Dira Damodar Maharaj. Okay, thank you, Maharaj. And H stands for what one loves to do, how your spiritual talent, heart can come together. We all have unique fingerprints and handprints. Some things something motivates you and some do not. All cannot love to do the same thing. If you expect someone to have the same interest as you, then that is not a good idea. It's a manipulation. And A stands for ability. What is your ability? Some are good in math, while others in art or music. Like when Parikshit Prabhu came and Prabhupada asked Parikshit Prabhu, so do you have any skill? He said, yes, I am an artist. Prabhupada said, oh, that's good. I'm not an artist. I'll teach you devotional path, Krishna consciousness, and you paint for me. And together we can grow spiritually in ISKCON. Parikshit Prabhu told me that. It was very attractive. Some are good with children, some are with old people. Most of these will go unused if we don't get to use it. And P stands for personality. We need to be an extrovert to preach. That is myth, not all departments. And E stands for experience. Your experience shape you. Prabhu's good or bad, educational, vocational, family. But the best experience for spiritual growth are painful experience. Please do not waste a heart. Your greatest change will come out of your greatest pain. In my own experience, believe me, I have a lot of pain experience and I reinvest to purify myself. It helps me a lot. People's strength often creates barriers and competitiveness, which leads to resentment and envy, but pain blinds you. Let everyone know that Krishna consciousness is a privilege of service, not benefit. Too many hoops to jump through. Don't bury the body in too many holes. Procedure and endless pre-training. Keep things standard and simple and add on as time passes. Ongoing training is more effective than intense and lengthy training. So more action points be available for the core member and help them whenever needed. You are core member, you making another core member. If a course correction is required, Prabhus, talk to them individually and in an emotionally sensitive way. Very important. Give and ask for their feedback frequently. Ask for their suggestion after they start working on project. Make them feel they're valued. Have regular one-on-one with them. Allow them the freedom to perform. Don't hover around or micromanage them. I saw, if I make sure their spiritual sadhana is not impacted by the amount of work they get, then we have to work on it. Devotees are volunteers, not employees. The level of engagement will depend on how I treat them or you treat them. Of course, this is an eternal benefit. No apologies for all this. There is nothing more significant. We forget what is important. Please don't give up. The Lord sees all your efforts. Allow Him to use you. Make you a medium to serve His purpose. Always keep the vision in the forefront. Don't get deviated. Don't lose clarity of the vision. If you need to talk, inspire them, ask people confidentially, inspire them to raise their commitment. Be specific in asking commitment. Explain the benefit of commitment. Krishna never meant for us to be one-man superstar show. And I love Prahlada Maharaj's, Prahladananda Swami's repeating this. Will you allow devotees to lead? Ask yourself. Will you allow your leader to lead, feed and not do everything himself? If the answer to both is yes, then there will be explosive growth. Some watch out. Avoid a personality contest and nominating people who are just interested in power, position, or prestige. Department take time to become effective. New member can get involved more quickly through your enterprises. Always have a backup plan to address contingency. How to bring out? When you challenge them, they will be forced to bring out their faith hand, and that will bring out the best in them. People respond to responsibility. The key to motivation is ownership. We should always give credit, never take credit, but remind them that Krishna is using them as a medium. Okay, I'm ending here with the conclusion. Oh, sorry. 5 things that will transform committed member into core: your own involvement in recognizing potential and unleashing their talent, frequent one-on-one with potential candidate, relationship with local administration and protecting yourself as a resource rather than an authority, flexibility, transparency, your own availability to extend yourself, relentless training and celebrating success, and few more I added. Self-awareness, willing to change, intense focus, trust, respect. Oh, sorry. This is Srila Prabhupada's beautiful quote. It is therefore requested that all our devotee in the ISKCON community becomes pure Vaishnavas, so that by their mercy, all the people of the world will be transferred to Vaikuntha Loka, even without knowledge. Prabhus and Maharajas, I have done. This is my own niyama, on conviction that hopefully I can follow till my last breath. I wrote here that I personally try to follow this. I will always be eager to serve the mission of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada with my heart and soul. I'll do my best to achieve excellence in all my activities. I'll struggle to rise above my lower animal nature. I'll study Srila Prabhupada's books regularly and thoroughly. I'll do my best to follow his teachings perfectly and teach others with whom I come in contact according to my level of realization. I'll be forever loyal to ISKCON, spiritual and managerial leaders and all devotees, being always positive and ready to help in its development. I'll be proactive as a preacher, teacher, facilitator, leader, and always in the mood of a servant. I'll not cease from struggling to improve my character and obtain the mercy of all the devotees, ISKCON devotees. I'll not over endeavor, but will strive for quality in my work and relationship. I'll be constantly on guard against committing offenses to devotees. I'll continually evaluate my progress, getting input from my peers and seniors. Despite all obstacles, personal and incidental, I will not cease from struggling to improve my character and obtain the mercy of all ISKCON devotees, including my spiritual mentors. All glories to His Holiness Prahladananda Swami, Bhakti Prabha Swami, Bhakti Dhira Swami, and all the devotees. I end here. I'm sorry I was running late. I had a little video, so I'm asking a question. If it is okay, if I could show, but then this will take the rest of the 15 more minutes. And then because we have a whole session all about question and answer, maybe we can discuss there. But whatever Prahladananda Maharaj, my spiritual mentor, advice, if I'm allowed to show the Vaishashik Prabhu, because I contacted yesterday and he made it for me and he sent it because we are all good friends. He's always my well-wisher.
Sure.
Okay. Prabhu, what's his name?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Can you do that, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. His Grace Prana Govinda Prabhu asked me to give a few thoughts about community building to share, and humbly I share whatever thoughts I could muster after he asked me yesterday, and at the time I have. These are in no way complete, but they do hopefully add a little bit to the conversation based on my experience here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, where we started from a clean slate. That is, we had no community, no buildings, no people. And then from a few, we've developed into a community, which we're happy with. It's humming along in some ways, and meeting with the challenges over the years. We've learned a few lessons, and here I'm going to pass them on to you. So about community building, we've always been inspired by Prabhupada's instructions to Karandar Prabhu, who was a great leader back in the 70s. And Prabhupada told him that you should create an environment in which people felt compelled to do service that's individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. Truth be known, our community here is called ISV, which externally and legally stands for ISKCON of Silicon Valley. But actually, internally, it's our mission or our vision, which is that we create an environment that's I, individual, S, spontaneous, and V, voluntary. ISV stands for individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. And a little bit about these briefly. That is, individual, everyone has a particular skill and a particular desire to serve Krishna. Every living entity is different. So it's incumbent on the leaders to discover the skills and desires of each individual and then fan the spark. Encourage them to do that. Find a way that they can be engaged in service. Prabhupada was expert at that. If somebody brought an idea where there wasn't already a service, Prabhupada would create a new category. Someone wanted to make a plastic drum. Prabhupada said, start a company. Someone wanted to preach on colleges to professors. It's on a morning walk, and Prabhupada simply says, do it. So there's a way that devotees get inspired and they think, I could contribute in a certain way. So find a way to engage them in that service. One of the ways we've been very successful at finding out what people's individual desires and talents are is to hold brainstorming sessions. During those brainstorming sessions, it's inevitable that people will get excited about a particular aspect of what you're working towards, and they'll raise their hand and say, I know how to do this. Employ them as soon as possible. Employ, that is, give them service. Spontaneous. Prabhupada said to Karandar, create a fresh challenge so that devotees will want to rise up and meet it. There always has to be a new challenge, a fresh challenge that captures the imagination, because people want to go somewhere. And if they're not going somewhere, then they start getting into the complaining mode and they feel frustrated. So we're missionaries. We want to have some place to go. Fortunately, there's lots for us to do because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission statement was every town and village. That means books should be in every language of the world. Are we there yet? Not by a long shot. There's so many things that we have to do. So there's unlimited service for people, and make incremental goals so that we can reach that. Of course, those goals will always increase. And Prabhupada writes in the Adi Leela chapter 9 in a purport that the main purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement is to go on unlimitedly expanding the preaching of the Krishna consciousness movement. So there we have great opportunities. So spontaneous. Spontaneous means make goals for every project and celebrate the results with the whole community. If you find a way to showcase the achievement of goals and appreciate the teams who have achieved them, then people in general in the community start to understand that this is the core of the community. This is the value of the community, and this is how I can be involved. Voluntary means when devotees realize that selfless service is the most satisfying, they'll volunteer. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, near the end, Srikadeva Goswami speaks about how Krishna is Atmanam Akilatmanam. He's the soul of our soul. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yagnartat Kamano Nyatra, etc. This is the principle for real happiness in life. And unless it's inculcated, unless it's something understood, that by selfless service to the complete whole Krishna, then we become nourished and satisfied, then people will never volunteer. But if we inculcate, which means to repeat that message again and again and teach it in interesting ways, then gradually people will understand that if my real self-interest is in voluntary service, volunteerism, that spirit that let me do something selflessly for the whole, that's the heart of a missionary community. As soon as people want remuneration, or at the end of doing so much service, then they say, I deserve to be paid for this, it ruins everything. It's curdling the milk. So voluntary is important. So we have these three principles in an acronym, ISV: individual, spontaneous, voluntary. Much more to be said about those, but I've given a few points. Next are principles and mantras. So here's a few mantras that we go by. These are also called battle cries. Every team needs a battle cry. Like, what's our value? It has to be pithy, something you can say within a short sentence, a few words. You find that with corporations. They pick out something that's indicative of the direction they're going, the spirit, the attitude of the company. I won't mention any of them. You all know what they are. But I will talk about the corporate ones I won't mention, because I don't want to contaminate this conversation. But I will mention the ones that we have at ISV. The first is, how we do is more important than what we do. In other words, there's always something to be achieved.
We seem to have some problem with the video playback. Do we have, are we correcting that? Who's playing the video?
Krishna Prabhu.
Who's playing the video?
The host, Maharaj.
That's right.
don't see.
I think he got disconnected.
A mantra that sustained us, because it keeps reminding us that we're here for service. So the goal of the community must be to make incremental improvements. If an organization, a community feels like they're always staying the same, they'll do just what they have to maintain it. If they feel like it's going down, then they'll quit and they'll go somewhere else. And if they feel and see that there are incremental improvements, then they'll do more than they have to. That's an old paradigm from management on the corporate level. So choose 3 improvements a month and make them very clear. They don't have to be huge. They can be tiny, small, but make sure you always have 3 improvements to make, and then track them and celebrate their completion. That keeps everything going in an upward trajectory. The next mantra is assume it can be done. When we undertake a new project with some goals, there's always somebody who will tell you how it can't be done. Inculcate in the community a sense that anything can be done. Any reasonable goal for Lord Chaitanya can be done, obviously, because it's not us that's doing it. We're the instruments. If Prabhupada has thought or taken the critical advice of some of his detractors, he would not have gotten on the Jolly Juice. But Prabhupada assumed it could be done because his spiritual master asked him to do it, and it was the will of Lord Chaitanya. That's why we can assume it can be done. So we can have progress, or we can have excuses, but you can't have both at the same time. You get either one or the other. So make an environment in the community where people don't make excuses. They assume things can be done because it's not us doing it, it's Lord Chaitanya. And that's what actually holds us together in a missionary movement and in ISKCON, is the miracles that take place. The miracle is, I make a goal that seems a little out of reach, and I'm not sure how I'm going to reach it, but then by depending on Lord Chaitanya and moving forward strategically, we attain it. Then we look back and realize, oh, that's amazing. We just went somewhere. And then we try to go again. And there's always this sense of angst when we're moving towards the next goal because we think, I did it before, can I do it again? We want to be in that space all the time, moving forward and having a little bit of anxiety for Krishna. Otherwise, everyone just declines into complaining about how everyone's doing it wrong. Be more absorbed in doing miracles, making miracles happen. The great devotee Mahatma Prabhu likes to say, this is what we like to do in ISKCON, is make miracles possible. The next principle is encourage the heck out of everyone. Everybody needs encouragement. The leaders need encouragement. The devotees who are just doing their level best and whatever service they can do need encouragement. The people who walk in the door need encouragement. Even animals need encouragement. It's a rough world out there, and everyone's getting bombarded by discouraging news from their own minds and from other people. So if you want a community that's vibrant, make this a priority. Encourage the heck out of everyone. Catch people doing something right and then take time to appreciate them. That's called the fan the spark principle. And it works everywhere because everyone can rise in due course of time. According to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you just have to fan the spark. Organize. Organization means brainstorm. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What are the possibilities? Then prioritize your best ideas. Decide out of the 152 ideas you come up with on a whiteboard, what are the 3 or 7 top priorities? Write them down, make them clear, and inculcate those. I use that word a lot. It's important into the whole community. Here's where we're going. This is what we are. This is why we exist. Then make simple, clear strategic plans. Strategic planning doesn't have to be unlimitedly complicated or complicated at all, but it does have to be on paper, and it does have to be clear what are the next steps. And when we do that, there's going to be goals. There are going to be KRAs, or key result areas. Emphasize those, bring those out. That's what helps everyone in the community to know what they're supposed to do next. A lot of people don't do anything because they don't know what they're supposed to do. Give them the next string of stepping stones and they'll be happy. And finally, in organizing, encourage teamwork. Teamwork is so important because individuals will shine in their own ways. And there's always an 80-20. And there's always a few people at the top who are way better than everybody else in a few things. And that's good. And that's natural. But when we emphasize those people over everybody else, then most people don't do anything because they think, I can't compete with that. So it's better to have teamwork in mind and emphasize how the team has successfully accomplished a task and not just the individuals who have done it. Everybody knows who's doing better than others or who's doing more, but when you emphasize the team, you get both. You get the power of lots of people wanting to participate because they know even if they have something small to contribute, they'll also be counted. So emphasize that we're all for one and one for all. It's more important, in my opinion, to emphasize that over the individual achievements or to create such intense competition that one person's a winner and the other person's a loser. People already know who's, as I said, doing more than others. What's more important is to emphasize our unity over the individuality, even though individuality naturally comes out, and that comes from encouraging people in their services to do it with more quality. That idea of teamwork invites the masses to participate. In summary, I talked about the individual, spontaneous, and voluntary spirit. I talk about mantras. How we do is more important than what we do. Always better service. Assume it can be done. Encourage the heck out of everyone and organize. Those are a few thoughts just off the top of my head on the back of an envelope because His Grace Prana Govinda Prabhu asked me for them, and I submit them at your feet in a humble mood. It's perhaps a paltry offering, but it's the best I could muster in the time I had. I offer my obeisances to all the assembled devotees. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing to spread the Sankirtan movement. I am your servant, life after life. Hare Krishna.
Very good, Brian Govinda,
Maharaj,
sharing that with us.
thank you. I apologize for not preparing on time. I'm little over the time. Please forgive me. I hope. So we'll have a questions and session, whole one program. Maybe we can do that at that time if anybody has any. Is that okay, Maharaj, or however? Because we are little over the time.
No, we should stop on time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have the question and answer set. If they have questions, they can speak up. Really like that.
Thank you again for giving me the opportunity, Maharaj, both of you and all the candidates to hear. I'm not good in so many things, but by the inspiration and your encouragement, as long as I can follow you all, I'll be okay. So thank you. So should we close here, Maharaj?
Yes.
Okay.